Chapter 5. Qin Shubo rescues Tang Gong on the road. The poem reads, Heaven and earth are heartless, but men are determined, their lofty ambition seeking to mend the void in the universe. Why do eagles and falcons soar to the clouds? Why do phoenixes droop their wings amidst thorns and brambles? Tender feelings, lingering resentment, are expressed through two fingers. A fervent heart is willing to stop danger and peril. A humble body is willing to die for others. What does it matter if the corpse lies in Xianyang? Why seek worldly fame to resolve disputes? The injustice is vented in the heart. The anger subsides, the anger dissipates, the heart is at peace. Right tune, A Thousand Autumns introduction. Life and death, gain and loss, between heaven and earth are all ordained by fate. However, heaven has reason but no form. Even the wrath of lightning and thunder cannot act in a moment, necessitating the means of mending the heavens, to help the weak and support the endangered on behalf of heaven. At first, Tang Gong thought they were just ordinary bandits, who would naturally scatter in fright upon seeing them arrive. Unexpectedly, these were all guards of the Eastern Palace sent by Yuan Shu, all carefully selected elites. Ordinary thieves, once they fail, will disperse. But these men, following Yuan Shu's orders, would not rest until they had killed Tang Gong and his family. Therefore, they fought desperately. Moreover, their men outnumbered Tang Gong's retainers by a factor of 2, forming a circle around Tang Gong and his household, and the fighting raged. The fields were shrouded in gloomy clouds, and the sky was filled with cold mist. The drums and cannons thundered, and the gleaming spears and swords surged like waves. Generals faced generals, like gods and demons vying for glory. Horses fought like sea beasts and mountain leopards fighting for food. The riders, the purple-haired steed, the five-colored steed, the silver-headed steed, the fire dragon steed, the green steed, the golden steed, the night-shining white steed, the jade steed, the cattail steed, and the Dilu steed were all like proud dragons and divine steeds. White waves rolled like 10,000 pear blossoms, and crimson clouds rolled like 1,000 apricot stamens. Blue morning mist stretched across the mountains, and yellow floating clouds flashed with the sun. The wielding pine-patterned sabers, sangman swords, fire-tipped spears, halberds, five-pointed shovels, xuanhua axes, gilded hammers, Bian maces, flowing gold guards, and horse-stabbing poisons, each a frost-sharp blade, a new edge sharper than snow. A myriad of spears and sabers dance in the fluttering catkins, a swirling mass of blade shadows amidst the rolling willow catkins. Rainbows flash and lightning streaks across the sky, swords and halberds sweep across the heavens, the moon turns and stars rush, spears and daggers gleam. How different it is from the sea overturning and the sky turning upside down, a final victory for one side and defeat for the other. After an hour of fighting, the sun had already set. Tang Gong, preoccupied with his family, was determined to break through the encirclement. He fought his way east, but the bandits swarmed east. He fought his way west, but the bandits swarmed west. Though unharmed, he was unable to escape. He left his servants behind, but fearing for his family, he dared not easily come to their aid. Tang Gong was already in dire straits. It was only a matter of time before he was saved. Qin Shubo and Fan Jianwei, having just retired from the army in Chang'an, were also passing by the foot of Lintong Mountain near Jiashu Ridge. Hearing shouts of battle coming from the forest, they jumped onto a high ridge and saw 50 or 70 bandits surrounding what appeared to be a group of government troops. Shubo said to Jianwei, "It's clear the world is vast and desolate. Shandong and Henan stretch as far as the eye can see, so it's understandable that bandits thrive. But look at the area less than a few dozen miles outside the capital. How can bandits be allowed to run rampant here?" Fan Jianwei pointed at Tang Gong and said, "That group trapped in the middle isn't bandits, it's the government troops who are outnumbered and surrounded. They look like they're in a sorry state. Brother, You've been praised as a rival of Zhu and Zhu in the 6 prefectures of Shandong. Are you only capable of standing up for justice in your own region? Now that you've witnessed injustice on the road, how can you stand by and watch? Brother, you've used your skills to help them out. That would show you're a true hero. Xu Bao said, Brother, said Xu Bao. I have the same idea, but I fear you won't grant my request. Fan Jianwei replied, I'm urging you to go. How can you say I won't? Xu Bao said, Since that's the case, brother, you take these criminals down the mountain first, drive them beyond the pass, and find a place for me. Fan Jianwei said, I can still help you here, brother. How can you ask me to go first? Xu Bao said, I am more than capable of eliminating this gang of thieves. If you stay here to help, who will take care of these criminals? Fan Jianwei said, In that case, brother, take care. He then led the criminals away first. Xu Bao adjusted his fanyang felt hat, fastened the belt, picked up his golden mace, mounted his yellow horse, and charged down the mountain. It was as if a fierce tiger has just left its den, its roar startling all the beasts. He shouted, Bandits, don't be rude, I'm coming. His voice was like thunderclap from between his teeth, a lightning bolt from his tongue. But seeing him alone on horseback, the men were not alarmed. Even Tang Gong, seeing him, didn't believe he could accomplish anything. Therefore, these fake bandits, still enamored with Tang Gong's battles, had no regard for the corrupt official in the dark. Only when Qin Shubao arrived on the battlefield did 1 or 2 men come to his aid. The exhausted bandits encountered a strong and fierce man, whose weapon was heavy. They quickly knocked 2 of them off their horses. This time, the bandits shouted and had no choice but to abandon Li Yuan and fight Xu Bao. Xu Bao, unperturbed, wielded his 2 maces. With one raised, a line of white egrets, with both 2 waterfalls, like drifting snowflakes swirling in the air, like chilling waves whipped by the wind. When the horse arrived, the bandits scattered. When the maces came, even the mountains felt cold. The battle raged, dust and smoke threatening to obscure the sky. Dragons fled their traps, foxes and rabbits escaped into the desolate fields. Previously, these thugs, relying on their numbers, had driven Tang Gong and his retainers around with great arrogance. Now, facing Qin Shubao, they were attacked from both sides, forced to flee east and west, north and south, some escaping into the deep mountains, others hiding in the forests. Tang Gong, reining in his horse, directed his retainers from an open area, aiding Xu Bao's attack. Those who understood the situation fled quickly, escaping with their lives. Those who didn't inevitably suffered broken arms and wounds. These men were like fallen leaves swept by the wind, like light ice melting in the sun. One of them, struck by a mace and falling from his horse, was quickly seized by the retainers and brought before Tang Gong. Tang Gong said, How dare you gather your gang of scoundrels and frighten a passing official like myself? Take them away and behead them. The man stammered, I am not a robber, but a guard of the Eastern Palace, ordered by Lord Yuan. You have a grudge against the Eastern Palace, and they ordered us to rob you. It was an order from above, and it has nothing to do with us. Tang Gong said, What grudge do I have against the Eastern Palace? You try to fob me off and escape death. I was going to chop off your dog's head, but out of pity for you being a poor man, I have no choice but to spare you. The man, having received his fate, fled. Meanwhile, the valiant man was still there, fiercely searching for someone to kill. Tang Gong said, Quickly go and invite that brave man to come and see me. Just then, a servant rode up and said, My master requests an audience. Xu Bao asked, Who is this man? The servant replied, He is Master Tang, Master Li. Xu Bao reined in his horse, and as he hesitated, another servant arrived and said, Brave man, hurry up, my master will surely reward you handsomely. Upon hearing the word reward, Xu Bao smiled and said, I only saw injustice on the road. It's not for your master's sake, nor do I seek your reward. With that, he turned his horse around and rode off towards the main road. He was a chivalrous man throughout his life, always helping those in need without seeking recognition. Life and death are as light as a feather. A promise worth 1,000 pieces of gold is as easy as gold. When Tang Gong saw that his servants couldn't bring the strong man, he hurriedly said, "I should be the one thanking him. Why should I go back to invite him? This is my fault." He instructed his servants, "Go and hurry up with my family. I'll catch up and thank him myself." He quickly tightened the reins and followed Shu Bao, saying, "Strong man, stop your horse and accept my bow." Shu Bao simply ignored him. Tang Gong called several times, but seeing that he wouldn't stop, he had no choice but to continue, saying, "Strong man, my whole family owes you a life. Let me learn your name first, and I'll repay your kindness another day." By this time, they had already caught up for more than 10 miles. Shu Bao thought, "Fan Jianwei is ahead. When I catch up, I'll inevitably have to ask his name. I might as well tell him to avoid being chased." He had no choice but to turn back and say, "Master Li, please don't chase me. My name is Qin Qiang." He waved his hand twice, whipped his horse, and galloped away like an arrow. Indeed, the mountain scenery cannot fully convey his chivalrous spirit. The stream cannot fully express his heroic ambition. His achievements have not been inscribed on bronze vessels, but his name shines through the ages. Tang Gong wanted to pursue again, but the battle had been long and the horse was exhausted. Moreover, he was alone on the road. If any remaining followers took advantage of the situation, where would he find another brave warrior? He had no choice but to rest his horse. With a favorable wind and the sound of the horse bells, he heard the name Qiang and saw him waving his hand, mistaking it for the fifth son. He firmly engraved Qiang Wu in his heart, wondering when he would repay the favor. Just as he was about to turn back, he saw a cloud of dust rise and a horse galloping towards him. Tang Gong exclaimed, "Oh no, those scoundrels are here again. Don't let them get close, watch my skills." He lightly drew his bow and fired an arrow, instantly killing the man who had fallen from his horse. Looking around, he saw his own family members amidst the dust. Tang Gong recounted how Qiang Wu had rescued them and scattered the bandits, praising him as a great benefactor. He comforted them both. Suddenly, several porters and villagers rushed to Tang Gong's horse, weeping and wailing. "We don't know what our master did to offend you, sir, that you shot him to death." Tang Gong replied, "I didn't kill your master," the villagers cried. "We just pulled the arrow from his throat and saw your name on it." Tang Gong said, "Oh, just now I was fighting with a group of bandits when a man on horseback came galloping by. I thought he was a remnant of the bandits and fired an arrow, but it accidentally killed your master. It was an accident. What is your master's name? Where is he from?" The villagers replied, "Our master is from Lezhu." The man from Erxianzhuang, named Shandao, courtesy named Shengzhong, had returned from selling silk in Chang'an. Tang Gong said, "The dead cannot be brought back to life. There's nothing I can do. Even if it goes to court, it's just an accidental injury, and I'll only be given a proper burial." "Who else is in your family?" the people replied. "We also have 2 wealthy men, Shantong, courtesy named Xingxin." Tang Gong said, "In that case, go home and tell your 2 wealthy men. I accidentally injured your master while suppressing bandits. It was a mistake. I'll give you 50 taels of silver now. You can use a thick coffin to send him back to his hometown. When I return to my hometown, I'll send an official to Lezhu to pay my respects." He comforted them. As the saying goes, the poor cannot fight the rich, and the rich cannot fight the officials. Besides, they were on the road, so they had no choice but to endure it and make their own arrangements. Tang Gong agreed, but felt deeply apologetic and disheartened. He talked with these people for a long time, which delayed his departure. 60 li from Chang'an, there were no post stations, only a large temple called Yangfu Temple. Seeing that his large family couldn't accommodate a small household, Tang Gong sent someone to the temple to ask for temporary lodging. The abbot, Wukong, upon hearing this, hurriedly rang the bell and beat the drum, gathering the monks to greet him at the temple gate. He instructed his servants to clean the abbot's quarters and tidy the kitchen. Meanwhile, he donned his robes, carrying incense, and led the entire temple to greet him. Tang Gong instructed his family and carriages to stop outside the temple, and he entered first. There he saw 1,000-year-old solid foundation, 10,000-year-old majestic halls. To the left and right of the gate stood the 4 heavenly kings, symbolizing favorable weather. In the center of the Buddha hall sat the 3 great bodhisattvas of the past and future. The ornate curtains and vermilion windows were carved with delicate pomegranate blossoms. The red walls and silver ramparts were painted with vibrant landscapes. Inside the Guanyin Hall, ancient bronze vases hold blooming golden lotuses. In the Arhat Hall, white jade cups hold shimmering, pure water. Mountain monkeys offer fruit. Having heard the golden scriptures, they attain transcendence. Wild deer carry flowers. Having heard the Dharma teachings, they are freed from karmic obstacles. 10,000 rays of golden light penetrate the Milky Way. 1,000 auspicious wisps lock in the vast sky. Later generations praised it in verse. Buddha's Hall, Dragon Palace, Jade Banners, hence its name, Kingliang, cool and refreshing. Auspicious clouds rise 3,000 feet before the platform. 1,000,000 rays of light constantly float within the chamber. Unbreakable even by the fires of calamity, unharmed even by the fierce winds. Since the creation of heaven and earth, it has remained below for countless eons. Upon reaching the hall, folding chairs were placed on either side. The monks paid their respects, and Tang Gong ordered his servants to lead them to the abbot's quarters. The nearby monks' quarters were temporarily moved aside, and then his family was sent in to seal the central gate. He sat in the meditation hall, thinking, if they are truly bandits having been thwarted, they will not dare to come again. But if they are indeed sent by the crown prince and are unwilling to give up, they may return. Therefore, he ordered his servants to patrol both inside and outside the city to guard against any unforeseen events. He himself, dressed in plain clothes and carrying a sword, read by lamplight. He wondered how these men, having changed their appearance and disguises in the mountains, could gather together and enter the city by evening, and how they could possibly return. Even if Yuan Shu and the crown prince's plan failed, it would be pointless. It would be fortunate that Li Yuan was unaware, thus avoiding ridicule. Moreover, these men reported back how many of his servants they had killed and how humiliated Li Yuan had been, saying they had mocked him, which would also appease their anger. He then simply let the matter rest. But Tang Gong, like a startled bird, dared not act rashly. Around midnight, as he stretched, he suddenly smelled a strange fragrance. He quickly looked at the incense burner on the table. The smoke had died down and the fire had cooled. Strangely, at first there was only a faint mist, but later the fragrance filled the entire hall. He sent someone to check the Buddha hall, but they reported that there was no incense in the burner. Tang Gong found this strange and stepped out into the courtyard. There he saw auspicious stars and clouds shining brightly in the sky. Rosy clouds shimmered, and auspicious mist swirled. Behind the meditation hall, it turned out that the purple star had descended to earth, not yet departed from Tushita heaven. The fragrance filled the sky, already permeating the womb. Just as he was looking up, a servant guarding the central gate announced that his wife had given birth to the second son. This was at midnight on the 16th day of the 8th month of the first year of Renshu. While Tang Gong was busy sending messages through the door to inquire about her well-being, she replied that she had been alarmed by the news of bandits blocking her way. After encountering the bandits, she was ordered to retreat to a populated area to camp. Her hasty journey had caused further disturbances, leading to her childbirth. Fortunately, her pregnancy was safe and sound. Tang Gong was relieved. At dawn, Tang Gong entered the temple to pay homage to the Buddha. His servants all entered the meditation hall to return and kowtow in greeting. The abbot and the monks presented a red-handed letter of congratulations. Tang Gong said, "Having given birth while staying here, I have defiled the Buddha's pure sacred space. The blame lies with me. What is there to celebrate? He then ordered his servants to fetch 10 taels of silver and give it to the abbot, instructing him to buy plenty of sandalwood, agar-wood, and other fragrant incense to burn in each hall to cleanse the blood and impurities. He then said to the abbot, "I was about to leave immediately, but my wife has just given birth and cannot endure the hardship of the journey. I would like to stay at your temple for a few more days. What do you think?" The abbot replied, "Our temple is dilapidated and unsuitable for your residence. However, it is spacious. If you are not yet ready, you may stay until your wife's confinement period." Tang Gong said, "I am afraid of causing inconvenience." He instructed his servants not to cause trouble outside or disturb the temple. He then said to the abbot, "I observe that although this temple is magnificent, there are many dilapidated parts. I intend to renovate it." The abbot said, "I have long had this intention, but even a small repair costs 1,000 taels of silver, and a complete renovation would cost no less than 10,000 taels. I cannot urgently find a generous benefactor. Even though I am often fortunate enough to have a connection with you, I dare not urge you. Therefore, I dare not start the project." Tang Gong said, "I will be your generous benefactor, and you will not need to urge me. As soon as I arrive in Taiyuan, I will have someone send it to you." He then prepared incense and mixed it with fine ink. The abbot hurriedly presented him with a large red booklet with a brocaded silk cover. Tang Gong unfolded the scroll and wrote, "Official Li Yuan, pleased to contribute 10,000 taels of silver to rebuild Yangfu Temple and recast the golden statues in the main hall." The monks craned their necks to look, all biting their fingers and sticking out their tongues, thinking, "I wonder which person bought the materials, which supervisor, and maybe they'll get a cut or two." Some said, "Look at them now, they don't give a single penny, yet they write down hundreds and thousands in donations, but have they ever given a single cent? When it comes to finding a protector during construction, they'll demand huge sums, and even the attendants and stewards will ask for more. Let alone 10,000, even if they only give 500, who would dare to urge them to pay the full amount?" They speculated wildly for a while. The next morning, they found 4 coils of incense and invited Tang Gong to burn incense in each hall, ring the bell, and beat the drum, showing him great flattery. From then on, Tang Gong stayed in the temple every day, waiting only for his wife's full moon celebration before departing. What happens next? Let's find out in the next chapter.